So the most important thing for me, as I keep stressing, is print media. I do think that this is where the iPad comes into its own. It's a coffee table computer. Again, I wouldn't want to get my laptop out. And reading magazines as I do, coffee table stuff like this, I mean, are we going to need... I mean, I've got tons of these magazines stacked everywhere and I end up just throwing them away. So paper, it's a waste of paper, it's a waste of time, clutters up space. And again, here it comes, just a coffee table, sort of a browse, and bang, I'm straight into a magazine, Men's Health, which is about my 16th favourite magazine of all time. A lot of people say to me, well, you look in such good shape, surely there's a secret. And it's this magazine. I love to see men with their tops off, mainly. I prefer women with their tops off. But yeah, what a great way to browse through a magazine. It's interactive as well, which that's what I quite like about it. You've not just got a flat 2D. So even adverts, which normally can be quite dull and uninteresting, you can just click on them and the advertisers love it because they can interact with you. So rather than a flat, you know, here's a Gillette advert, for instance, they can now interact with me, put extra text, pictures, video, or anything they want like that. So, you know,
just because it says for men doesn't
there we go.
Mean it is.
Straight away.
Odor Shield body wash targets and neutralizes odor for up to 16 hours. Because you're a man.
So Gillette have got to be happy with that. So that's Men's Health magazine. And the other thing, as well as magazines, is I've got stacks and stacks of books. And I've got a book library here. I just click on one. There's one I've been reading earlier. Dracula, great book, a little bit scary. Been reading it in bed at night, but again, it's just a perfect book reader. Some people say, well, is it too bright in the bedroom? Not really, because with all the book readers, you've got options at the bottom there to change the brightness or set it to night reading. It's fantastic. And you can buy all these books and all these magazines within their own store. iBooks is being released in the UK, so you can go to the bookstores, there you go, I've just marked it, and you can buy them within their applications. So it's perfect. I just can't imagine having piles of books and piles of magazines ever again, when every book I can think of, and the iBooks is being launched with 30,000 free books. So that's great. And again, when you finish with it, back on the coffee table, all done. Another beautiful thing about the iPad, which I really like, is the photos. You know, it's the similar sort of thing you get with the iPhone. And the trouble with a laptop when you're viewing photos and people around, again, it's a bit cumbersome passing this big machine around, whereas here, it's easy. They're loading very, very fast, and you can browse through thousands and thousands of your photos, and you can just click on them like that. A landscape, really nice. Great resolution on your photos. They look gorgeous. Now, the only thing is, as you can probably see and you've picked up before, is the glass screen, as much as it's good for showing the photos, it picks up all the fingerprints. And particularly on a black background, you'll find that your iPad's covered in fingerprints by the end of the day. I'm constantly got a tissue in my pocket and wiping it. I'm very conscious of that. And it is a fault, really, and I don't know how they're going to get over that. But great pictures. Unfortunate about the screen picking up the finger marks. As well as the photos, one thing everybody's going to go mad for is the applications, particularly in the gaming sector, because this is absolutely great for games. One thing I find about the games on the iPhone, they are very good, beautifully produced, but a little bit too small. And this is going to come into its own, as you can see here, really nice, beautiful quality. And they're just, again, so intuitive to use. This is a racing game, which I've actually been playing quite a lot. And it just feels a bit more natural. And then when we're talking about the laptop versus the iPhone, this wins outright. As you can see there, it's just a matter of turning it. And I'm actually going to drive this for a second and see if I can beat my lap record. So yeah, gaming is perfect on the iPad, so much more natural than the iPhone, big screen. So that's the gaming apps, but the other good bit of news is actually if you've got an iPhone or an iPod Touch, all the purchases you've made in the App Store, the apps actually work on the iPad. Now, they do come in, unfortunately, at the size of your iPod or your iPhone. So they are quite small, but they still work, 180,000 of them. There we go, and you can do a ×2 at the bottom of the screen and make it fit the screen. Downside again is that it pixelates the pictures and the text a little bit, but at least you can view it on that. So the good news is you don't have to buy the apps again. If you bought a £1.79 app in the iPod store or the iPhone store, you get it free for the iPad. Now, when this does launch, there's going to be over 3,500 apps for the iPad. And I do prefer the iPad apps because they are HD and they've been designed to work on the bigger screen, so they are better. But it is good news that you can access all the iPhone apps as well. Another thing I like about the iPad is at the end of the day, I can get into bed with my loved one, and that's my wife, not my iPhone, and I can relax, and I've got a choice of things to do. Perfect for bed because it's a great media player, as I've mentioned before. TV, radio, for music, for book reading. Again, the iPad comes into its own. Previously, like me, you probably update your status on Facebook, Twitter, and watch a movie and listen to music on your iPhone, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. But having lived with them both for a period of time now, I don't reach for the iPhone anymore. I reach straight for the iPad, mainly because, like watching TV as a media player, the iPad comes into its own there. So you can listen to music anytime you want, flick through your album artwork. I did this the other day, which was HD version of Ashes to Ashes. Watched that the other night in bed. So you can see, really, it's light. And the good thing as well is when you're asleep at night, you can have it on the lock. And then when you're laying on your side at bed and you're spooning your wife, it doesn't matter. That's not going to affect the viewing. So it's great for music, it's great for TV, and of course, like we mentioned earlier, magazine and book reading. I think I've actually fallen in love with the iPad. I don't reach for my MacBook Pro anymore. In fact, I haven't really opened it for 2 weeks at home. The iPhone takes a back seat at home. This really has fitted nicely between the two. I have fallen in love with it. I've been with my wife now for 29 years. When I get into bed at night, which do I turn to? Well, at the moment, it's not the wife. It is the iPad. And I do believe it's one of those devices that when you get your hands on it and you play for it yourself, like me, you will fall in love with it. So that's my final verdict. It is lovable and it's a game-changing device. So go and check it out for yourself. That's the Apple iPad.